At a press briefing following her debate on Wednesday, New York Governor Kathy Hochul was pressed on crime and public safety by a reporter, telling Hochul that, quote, "The fear is palpable among citizens worried about violent crime." The incumbent Democrat defended her record and detailed steps to increase a sense of security. At last night's debate, Hochul was assailed by her Republican opponent Lee Zeldin over the issue of crime. Recent surveys show Hochul losing ground to Zeldin, whose anti-crime message is resonating with Empire State voters. While Hochul still leads her GOP challenger in most polls, fears of continued violence and the inability of Democrats to combat it are making her re-election prospects much less certain than in months past.
Governor, following last night's debate and through the entire campaign, your opponent has made crime a central focus of this campaign. And while you have been able to show that you have done many, many things since you took office, the bottom line is that people still don't feel safe. People still are afraid to take the subway. The fear is palpable. People are afraid to walk the streets. So the question is, what do you think you can accomplish, new things that you can accomplish as governor that will change the fear, that will be the deciding denominator that will make people feel that this is the safest city in the world, the safest state in the world, because they don't think that right now.
Now, and that is very real, and this is what is deeply disturbing to me. It's what I think about when I go to bed at night, is how we can make people in this city, in this state, feel safer. I know that telling them that statistically we are the safest big city in America. When people say they're going to leave, well, you're not going to Atlanta, Chicago, Washington, even Seattle, San Francisco for sure. But historically, we're better. But that doesn't do anything to anyone. I can't change a feeling with a statistic because it's real. And I accept that. And I want to be the person who can help lead them to a place where they have that sense of security. So what do? We say, you feel safer with the presence of more police officers? Then I'll help you. You would not have heard this before in the past, where the state of New York is deploying our state workers to help in the cities and also in our subways. We're doing this in Rochester and Syracuse as well. They needed more help. State police are there. New York City needs help. We have our support from our NTA Transit as well as state police doing whatever we can. So it's that. It's also resources. Tripling the amount of money for law enforcement is what we did in our budget. That's on the line out there. But also letting people know that there's cameras out there. When you're on a subway and you're getting nervous about something, you need to know that over time, every single train is going to have 2 cameras watching everything that goes on. And also, I know how frightening it is when people see someone who has a severe mental illness. They could erupt at any time. They could have an episode, and they could cause harm to you or your loved ones. That is frightening. So we've been working on this since January. There's over 2,400 individuals who've had connections made to help get them to treatment. But also, we need to have long-term beds because they're just cycling back into the system. That's why we, very quickly said we can identify that they're the most frequent riders, I would say, the people who are there persistently. We know who they are. We can get them because we now have the laws as part of our bail laws. We strengthened Kendra's law, and judges have abilities to have court-ordered treatment for people who really are severely ill, who could harm others. And the other part is that keeping guns out of the hands with people with mental health problems. So I can tell people all this. I don't know what it takes then for them to say, I feel better, as long as they're going to continue reading about the stories that have always been part of our history, always. But I'm going to keep focusing on it. I'm not giving up on this. I want people to feel safer in this city.
Here's the question. Do you think if you were able to get the legislature to add the standard of dangerousness to the bail laws, that this would silence the critics and it would make people feel somehow safer on the streets of New York? Do you think that may be the missing secret sauce?
Let me ask, did they feel safer before the bail laws were changed? Because I want everyone to understand, we've never had a dangerousness standard. The Republican governor and Republican legislature that did the changes to the criminal justice system and to our penal laws back in the 60s and 70s, we've never had a dangerousness standard. I think there's just a mischaracterization that there was once a dangerousness standard and then it was taken out. That didn't happen. And what I did in our bail changes, I put in more standards for judges to consider than they had before. I said you have to look at was an order of protection violated? Is it a repeat offender? Everybody talks about the repeat offenders. That's why I focused and had to fight hard to get that language in the bail changes. Anything related to a gun offense, even if it's unloaded. So I just want people to know that. I think if they understood, well, you never had it, you felt safer before, so you really can't let it all be distilled down to this one thing will make people feel better. And it's frustrating because I want it to work. I want people to have that sense of security that they all deserve. I'm going to keep finding every way. I have constant meetings with my staff. What else can we be doing? Who else can we help? This has been my top priority. It has been my top priority as governor for the last 14 months.